Welcome to the Real News Network. I'm Mark Steiner. It's great to have you all with us. We've all been watching the increasing tension between the United States and Iran, taking us to the brink of another war. Iran downed an American drone on the heels of attacks against two oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman. The U.S. said the drone was in international waters. Guess what? The Iranians said it happened in their airspace. The U.S. said Iran attacked the tankers, and Iran said, no, it didn't. However, for some analysts, the gravest danger rests in the incoherent, the words of our guest, inconsistent and Twitter-dominated foreign policy that might trip us into a war. So we start our conversation there with our guest, Jeet Heer, the newly appointed National Affairs Correspondent for The Nation and author of In Love and Art, Francois Moulet's Adventure in Comics, and Sweet Lechery, Reviews, Essays, and Profiles. And welcome, Jeet, to The Real News. Good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
It's very clear to me that your career in comics has probably prepared you for this White House more than anything else you've ever done, or anybody else has ever done.
Absolutely. You know, Trump is he's a cartoon character who happens to occupy the White House, which is part of our problem.
And it sounds like it from the essay you wrote in The Nation. But so let me go through this tweet you had. You had put out a tweet just recently that said it would be good if the Democrats running for president eschewed the essay the easy Putin's puppet rhetoric, and talked about the dangers of incoherence, as I outlined here in your article. In the article, you write, in truth, the real key to Trump's foreign policy is neither neo-isolationism nor a subservience to Vladimir Putin, but rather belligerent incoherence. So let's start there. So talk about literally what you mean. I mean, we quipped a moment ago about this comic book character, but talk about how that fits into all of this.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Trump is not someone who has any grand strategy. His whole life has been about creating a persona. First as this, great billionaire, self-made rich man, and now that he's president, he likes to act like the tough guy. But he also, part of his persona is that he's a deal maker. And what we've seen over and over again with Iran, with North Korea, and with Russia is that there's a real lack of coordination between Trump and his main people. That Trump is trying to make deals. He's trying to create back channels and open up conversations because he thinks he can do that. But he's surrounded by people who are ultra hawks and who are pursuing very aggressive foreign policy. So with Russia, I mean, they're ramping up the cyber war, and they're talking about taking out Russia's power grid. With North Korea, Trump, keeps saying he's in love with Kim Jong-un, and meanwhile, his advisors are sending out, military excursions. And with Iran, this isn't widely reported, but there is a lot of evidence that Trump has been trying to set up a back channel with the Iranians. I mean, he basically doesn't like the Obama deal, but he wants to create his own deal. The Japanese Prime Minister Abe went to Iran, and there's a lot of evidence that he was carrying a message from Trump. But Trump's advisors are very against that, and they're have been working to undermine that and ramping up the war rhetoric. And so that's a very dangerous situation where you have an administration sending out radically different messages. And I think if you imagine if you're an Iranian or a North Korean or a Russian, you're going to think what's going on here? You're going to get paranoid, you're going to get skittish. And this has emboldened the hardliners in Iran. And so I think that's the real root of this crisis right now.
So when part of your analysis here, you said, in past American foreign policy, American presidents have had this good cop, bad cop relationship with people inside the administration. You mentioned Eisenhower Dulles and Nixon Kissinger as this good cop, bad cop routine they had in dealing with foreign policy. And some people would argue, and you argue against this, that that's exactly what's happening with Pompeo and Bolton with Trump. But you see this relationship as much more anarchic and much more dangerous.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think it's a good cop, bad cop routine, in part because there's considerable evidence that Bolton and Pompeo are keeping stuff from Trump, that Trump was not advised as to some of the actions that they're doing against Russia. And with this Iranian business as well, I mean, just the whole timing of it, that just as Trump is trying to, create a back channel, that's exactly when the anti-Iranian rhetoric is ramped up. That's when sanctions are increased. It doesn't seem coordinated. It's rather that Pompeo and Bolton know that Trump is not hands-on, know that he's not following policy detail closely, know that he's lazy, and are pushing their own agenda. And that's very dangerous.
So I'm going to ask a question in the context of something here. You also write, does it even make sense to look for a devious design underwriting Trump's foreign policy? Isn't it more likely that the chaos we see on the surface is all there is? That, in fact, Trump is no mastermind, but a man of intellect and barely articulate impulses. And so let's talk about this for a moment. I mean, so on one level, that many of us can look at him and feel that way. On the other, there is this world around him that put him into office, that backed him, for the very reason because they wanted to have this kind of right-wing and nationalist and evangelical agenda to be put in place. So talk a bit about how you see that contradiction.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that Trump is in some ways a figurehead for policies that he doesn't fully understand, and he himself has his worldview is just basically being a tough guy. America, I'm going to be a tough guy. America's going to be strong, and that's why he has empowered Bolton and Pompeo. He likes the way that Bolton talked on Fox News, and the idea is to carry a big stick and threaten people. But Trump also has other impulses as well. He's not as vested in these all the sort of Washington foreign policy establishment views, and he's very much aware that some of his supporters are against war. I think that part of what's been going on is that there's been an effective lobbying of Trump from different factions. And that explains part of the incoherence. If you watch Fox News, people like Tucker Carlson are warning about the dangers of war. And Trump's mindset is has the kind of incoherence of Fox News. The desire for both America to be tough, but then maybe also some isolationist or at least reluctance to carry out large-scale military endeavors.
I mean, if your analysis is right, and some people kind of deeply agree with your analysis, that this could be a serious that we could be in serious danger.
Yeah.
I mean, this is you can do things tongue in cheek and you do it right very well, but there's a real danger here, it seems, when we're talking being on the brink of war with Iran that could inflame the entire region there, not just Iran. Israel could jump into the situation. Saudi Arabia could jump into it. It would completely unravel the already unraveled Iraq. I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is...
No, absolutely. It's an incredibly dangerous situation. I mean, in some ways, it's a long tail risk. You could speculate that everybody will pull back from the brink, as Trump seems to have done at least last night, and that even the Iranians will exercise caution. They'll sort of poke at Trump to show that he's a Twitter tiger, but they won't go for full-scale war. But there's also, because there's all these mixed messages, there's a real possibility of real misunderstanding, and a possibility of war erupting by accident. I think people need to understand that this is traditionally one of the ways in which war has erupted. The First World War, arguably the Korean War. Part of the origin of the Korean War was that Stalin was unsure about how far America would go, and he thought he got signals that America would be happy with a unified Korea, which was not what America was willing to accept. So if you have mixed signals, that is an actual legitimate path to war.
So let's look at where we are now. We've seen Nancy Pelosi come out saying we're in a dangerous situation. Warren has tweeted, and you can see that here about the dangers of where his policy could take us. But what you write in your piece that the proper constitutional response would be for Democrats and Republicans to take a hold of this. But you're going to call the Republicans are too complicit, and you call the Democrats as too feckless. So let's talk about what that dynamic is here. How you analyze that internally about what could stop our path to war, what the Congress might or might not do, and where you see this going if the Democrats are too feckless and the Republicans are too complicit.
Sure. I mean, what the Trump administration is claiming is that they don't need authorization for war, that already with the sort of authorization that was given for the war on terror in the Bush era, they can launch an attack. But I think that there's that doesn't seem right. But traditionally, Congress has given presidents a lot of leeway. We've had the imperial presidency since the 1940s, and has been reluctant to challenge presidents. But I mean, there's one avenue open. Like Congress could say let's have an up and down vote on war. And one could imagine that if Trump really wants to get himself out of this mess, he might go for that, as Obama did with Syria, where he found himself in a situation where he was being pushed farther than he wanted to go, and he said, "Well, let's have a vote." And I mean, that is, to me, that seems like the one sort of path that's open, and it might be a face-saving path as well for Trump. But also, more importantly, would help redress the constitutional issue. Because I think one of the things with the Trump era is that Congress, even with the Democrats winning the House last year, they have not shown the proper checks and balances. And we really need Congress to assert itself in this position. But I feel like they're being irresponsible.
And I guess we'll be following that. You'll be following that in D.C. and on Capitol Hill as this kind of unfolds for all of us in your position as a nation. And just finally here, I guess your history of writing about the comics prepared you, as we said earlier, for covering the White House as it is. But it's almost like a horror comic. This is that we're watching unfold.
It is a very scary kind of scenario. I mean, with luck, if we see it through, it'll be only because of luck. It won't be that the people in power acted in a responsible way, because there's been irresponsibility all the way along. And it's not just Trump, it's the people in his administration, and it's not just Republicans, it's Democrats who did not hold him accountable.
Well, Jeet Heer, first, congratulations to your new appointment as National Affairs Correspondent for the Nation. It's good to have you, and we're looking forward to talking to you a great deal more. And have a good rest of the day, and thank you for your contribution today. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed it. It was a good conversation.
We've been talking to Jeet Heer, the newly appointed National Affairs Correspondent for the Nation, and I'm Mark Steiner here for the Real News Network. Thank you for joining us. We'll be staying on top of this. Take care.